Hey, what's going on, guys? And welcome back to another episode of Weeb Seen It Podcast. This week is episode 49. As always, I'm Cam.
And I'm Jimmy.
And let's get into the episode. And we are back for another week. Thanks for joining us, guys. I think that actually it has only been a week. I think we're doing it.
We're actually back on schedule.
I was laughing because typically we used to record, or we often recorded on Monday. And once Monday came yesterday, and I was like, it's a bad day to record because there's stuff going on. I'm like, are we just doing like a bi-weekly? I was like, no, we can't do bi-weekly. The thumbnail says weekly on it. I was like, it changes the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, it's not a bad day today. We're both off work. For the most part, we thought that no shows came out today, but this is probably the least organized we've been on like which days all the shows come out.
Yeah, like we were just looking through it before we came into the episode today, and it was like, oh wow, this came out today.
Yeah, normally each season it's like the days before like the season comes out. I like go onto websites and make big lists of like, okay, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and like which anime comes out, what time they come out in Eastern time, all that kind of stuff. This season we're just like, fuck it, it'll come out, we'll watch it, we'll talk about it on a day.
We like this week. Let's talk.
Yeah, exactly, basically. And it's nice. So I think this week we mainly have 6 anime to talk about, roughly,
in varying degrees of in-depthness, but
yeah, as always, like if you've watched this before, there shouldn't be anything new. Some anime we're going to talk about for a longer period of time than others, because in shows like the 86 or Mushoku Tensei, there's going to be more to talk about than there's probably going to be in something like My Senpai is Annoying.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. So just, at least we still like to come in and talk about it if we enjoyed the previous episode. Once again, it's not like a set list. Like this won't be the same list every single week. It might change. There were 2 shows mainly this week. I guess maybe 3 shows we're not caught up on fully.
Komi-san, Demon Slayer, and Platinum End.
Oh, we didn't write Komi-san. We got to talk about Komi-san on here too.
Oh, right.
I was like, I knew we're forgetting something. But yeah, there is a new episode of Komi-san coming out tomorrow, and obviously, unfortunately, we'll be uploading this video probably tomorrow, so it won't be the newest episode. But we can at least talk about like the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, hopefully we're not too far behind from one episode of this.
Yeah, so we can talk about our thoughts on Komi-san so far. But I know that I'm not caught up on Platinum End. I still haven't seen it since episode number 1. According to a lot of the comments I read last week, a lot of you guys are not digging it. So
honestly, I get it.
I'll keep trying, but we'll see. I'm not caught up on the Banished from the Heroes Party because it came out this morning.
Yep, Funimation didn't tell you, so
Funimation didn't tell me. I checked my recent list after the gym just to see, and there was nothing on it. No. And then you were not caught up on like the Finest Assassin or whatever the hell it's called.
Correct.
Yeah, and I believe I am, but there should be a new episode coming of that soon as well.
Yeah, I think that comes out like later today.
Yeah, so we won't be talking about those today. So today we got the 86, we got Mushoku Tensei, Faraway Paladin or Faraway Paladin. I always read it the wrong way. You got Takt OP, you got My Senpai is Annoying, Ranking of Kings, and of course, the very late edition, Komi-san cannot communicate or can't communicate. I'm trying to think about it. Obviously, we have to go through the question of the week. Of course, my question of the week last week, I'm pretty sure was asking if you prefer to binge watch your anime all at once, or if you're someone who likes watching it weekly as it releases. I had very different feelings on this depending on what the thing is.
Yeah, I feel like some series you just want to sit down and watch the whole thing in one run.
Even just like non-anime versus anime. Like there's a lot of TV shows when they come into Netflix that I really do like to binge. It's just one of those things where if it's something you can binge, you get it all at once and you're having a great like couple days while you watch it.
Yeah.
But then you feel empty afterwards because it's done so fast.
Yeah.
While when you're watching it weekly, of course, it sucks when you want to watch that next episode. You got to wait a week, but you also have it for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
I think people could really go any way.
True. I mean, I think a lot of people with the weekly series, they end up like going to the source material.
Yeah.
So a lot of people pick up the book or they pick up the manga or they read the light novel.
Yeah, and they're like spoiling it for themselves just based off like I don't always considering it spoiling for yourself. It just depends on which media you like more probably.
Yeah, it really is.
But of course we got Spongy Games 3 says weekly. Hate the idea of having to get caught up. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
As we said, it can kind of cut both ways. Obviously we like watching anime weekly because it's kind of what we talk about on here. You got Noob at Redstone says weekly. I like seeing others discuss the new episodes. It's also a pretty effective way to prevent binge watching. So also makes sense. Kind of like in our shoes, you like watching people talk about weekly anime. We have to talk about weekly anime. Next up, you got K Zeno says, it depends on the series, to be honest. Some really feel good episodic. Vivi, To Your Eternity are good examples, while others I liked to binge. Example, Tokyo Revengers, Fena. It depends on the pacing, quality, and cliffhangers. Weekly has the advantage of weekly discussion, which is nice.
Yeah.
I definitely think with shows like the 86 Mushoku Tensei, back when we had stuff like ReZero, the discussion was like a big part of the show.
Yeah.
even with shows like Promised Neverland season 2, what
There
whether
was a season 2?
whether it was positive or negative, there's some shows where it's like you finish the episode and then you go online to see what people thought. You're like, I know their opinions on this episode, so let's go find them.
True.
Those are important, but I feel like you could easily go and watch like or on High School Host Club just all at once to be satisfied,
Yeah, there's not a huge amount of discussion between episodes. Like,
No.
Do you think he's going to end up with her?
So yeah, I agree with this. I do think I don't know. I think I would have preferred watching Tokyo Revengers weekly personally. Like I think that was a good experience because there were a lot of cliffhangers in it. So
I mean, it depends on how you feel about cliffhangers too.
yeah, I guess if you look at them as a positive or a negative.
Like I know there was a few times where I was like sitting there, just like I want to know what happens next.
Yeah, if you're like, oh, fuck this cliffhanger,
Like,
I need to know.
exactly.
But yeah, I'm always like, oh, good cliffhanger. Yeah, well done.
Yeah, like,
Can't wait.
I think the worst part is when you end a season with a cliffhanger, like
Yeah,
what they did.
but you have to though.
I know, but there's different levels of cliffhanger.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's
So.
I could see that. Of course, we got M here. He says both have its merits. A binge can be a great experience, but you feel extremely spent and like a mess
Yeah.
afterwards. Same thing I said. Weekly feels like a nice break you can catch every so often, but you probably get less invested in the fandom overall. Based on this, I'd say weekly because I need to get my life in order. Fair enough. I mean, there was a long period where we mentioned this before where like weekly anime was how I knew what day it was. Because, when you just work and do the same stuff every day, it's like, like what the hell's the difference between a Monday or a Friday? Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you have like a set schedule.
Yeah, but if you're like, oh, wait a minute though, but like Friday's the day, this comes out. All of a sudden, I used to know every single time it was a Wednesday just because of ReZero.
Yeah.
Wednesday was ReZero day. Simple. And then lastly, we have George Cosman coming in saying, I like having episodes to look forward to, so I end up trying most of the anime coming out a season that interests me, but I do drop some of them. On the other hand, having anime slip through those cracks and binging them once they're done is enjoyable too. Some of my examples are Odd Taxi and Shadow House.
Two that we really
Two shows that we should probably binge since we did not watch them weekly. I think there's a couple like stuff like I think that I would have let go of watching weekly. Even looking back on it. Like the one where it's like the kid from the boonies or whatever dungeon.
Oh yeah. Kid from the Last Town Boonies comes.
I stopped watching that, and that was like a weekly thing. I think if I went back and like binged that season, I would probably enjoy it. Same way I like binge like Beaufry and whatever the Infinite Dendogram.
Oh yeah.
Kind of those type of series where I think you could they do not have enough draw to keep you coming each week. But if you were to binge watch them on some free time, you'd be like, oh, that was a nice, enjoyable, couple hours of binging.
Yeah, something light and snacky you can just put an afternoon into, and
yeah. So I think we had some varied. Most people in here seem to think weekly, but I mean, you guys all got to remember that these are people who are watching weekly discussions on anime, and we are people who are talking about weekly discussions on anime. So we're biased. So don't listen.
Yeah,
to
a
us.
little bit of selection bias there.
Yeah, that's okay. As always, thanks to everybody who actually wrote in the comments.
Yeah,
Keep an eye out. There'll be a pinned comment down below with this week's question of the week. I would love to think about the questions ahead of time and give them to you via video format, and you can put them down, but I don't think about them that fast. Sometimes it's hard just to think about one like 5 minutes before when I have to post the actual video. But there will be one down below, so just keep an eye out for it. I'm trying to think of any other big topics. Any other big things?
I don't think there's any major announcements right now, so...
No, I mean, there were a couple I saw. There was like the first trailer for Jujutsu Kaisen movie should come out soon.
Yeah. Until that drops, though, it's kind of hard to get excited, so...
Yeah, there was something else, too, that something just came out and did really well. I just can't remember what the hell it was now. I don't think it was Jujutsu Kaisen. Something came out in Japan and did crazy good. Oh, it was the Sword Art Online progressive movie.
Oh, I forgot about that. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, I've been excited for it because I'm a fan of Sword Art and can still accept all the elements of it that are trash, but I just like the elements that are good and have good nostalgia looking back on season 1 and stuff. But if that movie does fix a lot of issues with like the first season of Sword Art, then I'd be kind of down.
I make it actually enjoyable to watch.
I think it was just a post about like it did like a really, really good like opening weekend or something. So
okay,
hopefully when that comes to English, we'll be able to watch that or not like dubbed, but like subbed at least. So maybe we'll talk about that in the future. Hopefully, keep an eye out below. And I think rather than that, we're just gonna get into the episode.
Sounds good.
It's about time, of course. Before we do it, we're gonna crack open our non-sponsored energy drinks. One day, if someone's like, "Hey, what's your goal? Do you guys want to like work really hard to be sponsored by Crunchyroll? Like, you guys want some Funimation? Like, what are you thinking? You guys want Raycons or G Fuel?" I'd be like, "No. Give us some rain. Give us some rain."
Yeah, just send us like a case. That we'll accept that as sponsorship.
Yeah, find me some caffeine-free ones too.
That's just water at that point.
I just want it to taste. I don't want the caffeine all the time.
Just send us some of the American flavors, like some white gummy bear.
Oh yeah, or jalapeno strawberry. That's a weird one.
I just want to know what that tastes like.
Today we're gonna get started with the 86, of course.
Yep.
So there've been a lot of big episodes I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it picked up a lot faster than last season.
Yeah, and I like that though. Like I mentioned it last week that I'm liking Core 2 so far more than Core 1. It is like a whole different flavor.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, they're willingly fighting. They're not like indentured.
They're willingly fighting. They have like it's actually like a structured like military in this.
Yeah, they have decent equipment.
Like Shin actually has like say in what goes on. He's like a lieutenant or something. So
Yeah.
he's actually getting able be able to plan and strategize and stuff like that.
I mean, they're obviously still not listening to him a lot of the time. But
No, but at the same time, like we can't really expect them to listen when they also will not explain the situation.
I mean, true, but how do you walk up? It's like, hey, I can hear the voices of the dead that are locked in these machines. There's a big attack coming.
Exactly. You can't do that, but you also can't imagine you just walk up and be like, hey, I got a really good feeling there's actually 600,032 and 58 Legion out there, so I would change our numbers to account for that. And they'd be like, oh, how do you know that? He's like, oh, I just got a feeling.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, okay, dude, like, fuck off. Like, come on. Like, we haven't. What did she say in the one episode? She's like, oh, we got analysts on this. They know. They're really, really good. Like,
I really hope she at some point walks into the room, just flips them off, and walks away.
It was kind of funny though, because the whole like point of this beginning of the episode is just like building up to this huge battle. Obviously, they hinted at it last week's, when Shin's saying that this huge force is coming, they're not going to be ready for. And then this week, we're like getting the battle. There's a couple different lines of the battle, but like they just absolutely fucking wreck it.
Yeah, well, I think that's when you give good soldiers good equipment, it's completely different than them in the junk they were in before.
Yeah, like we see a couple different scenes. Shin coming in last second to save some people because there's like ground soldiers and shit apparently out here too.
Yeah, I guess like heavy machine guns can deal with like the smaller ones to a degree. So.
Yeah, even just like support and stuff. Maybe they could have also just been like running, deliveries and stuff.
I mean, they also had a lot of really big guns. So I'm assuming they're at least firing them.
Yeah, you even see like their backup, like they almost like the engineering team, or whatever, like whatever team that is. Like we need to get them shit fast. They're only as good as us getting them new ammunition and shit.
Yeah,
they're like that's our job. We're getting it to them quick. But yeah, we see them go nuts. Like we at the end of their little battle part, the Legion of like basically fled like the rest of them.
Yeah, they realized they weren't going to win.
Yeah, it was just the Shin was going sicko mode.
Yeah, I mean they all went sicko mode.
They did, yeah.
Gunslinger was just straight up sniping people.
Yeah, she had a sick little sniping setup there. That was cool.
Yeah, Anju just was artillery support.
Yeah, but I mean, the whole point of that Shin's part in the episode was he was going sicko mode. Like,
oh God, yeah.
We get a lot of. It's always like an anime where it's like, oh, I should not like this, or it's like I should feel bad now because like Shin's messed up or something.
Yeah, but it's
like, nah, keep going, sicko mode. Like, who gives a fuck?
It's like I know you're suffering a lot of mental trauma right now, but this looks badass.
Yeah, even like when the side of the machine explodes and like the glass just comes across and cuts his face.
Oh man, I think the animation's dialed up a lot too.
Yeah, compared to like early on, like the CGI and like Core 1, I don't know. It's probably just the same team and everything, but
they probably got a better budget so they can put more people on it.
It does definitely look better. Like their whole fight with him, like moving, sliding underneath the Legion to like cut the machines in half and stuff like that. It looked a lot better than Core 1.
Yeah.
And yeah, Shin, goes kind of crazy. You have Frederica basically like sensing it by like the connection.
Yeah.
And then basically like saying, because her whole thing was that like, what was the guy's name?
Oh, I want to.
Kira.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. Yeah, Kiri, Kiri. Yeah, so he was like kind of the same way when he went out. He was going like battle crazy in a sense. So she's getting like almost like a PTSD sense from like Shin doing it too.
Well, yeah, this is the second person she would have done this to.
Yeah, and but Shin still like it was useful. They definitely won. He comes out of the machine and she's kind of like giving like a little hug.
Yeah,
like she was worried, and it all worked out.
I mean, for them.
Yeah, for them. Of course, then the end of the episode is definitely the cliffhanger of this episode, which is where finally all those frickin' losers in the
they are going to suffer so much.
Yeah, I feel like at the end you're supposed to like respect her uncle, and I'm like, I still don't.
I feel like it's more him trying to redeem himself than something we're supposed to respect him for.
He literally, because they've mentioned this previously too, where he literally says like he would rather all of their entire city die than try to like change their perception on like the 86 in the war. Yeah,
I mean, he does say a little bit it's more than both sides at this point, because after what they've done, do you think the 86 are going to open them with like welcome them?
But like we not like welcome, but we know that like the 86 will still fight. Like most of their opinions on that are like there are some people like they're still literally fighting at the one point where the guy's like, oh, you're getting what's coming to you, and then he explodes kind of thing. Like he's like still fighting for him while he's acknowledging like he's like, oh, sick. At least like they're gonna have some, they're gonna have their days ruined too. But I mean, at the same time, as viewers, we know that a lot of the 86 are gonna fight like no matter what.
Yeah, and the fact that there's so many people that are listening to Melens is going to cause a fight.
Yeah, but yeah, her uncle basically says like, hey, we'd rather just all die than, try to admit we were wrong with the 86. And like, they're not going to take us in. Like, they're not going to help us out in this war. And she's just like, I don't give a fuck. She's like, I'm going to do it anyway. She's like, I'm still going to go out there and I'm going to fight this. And he's like, well, I'll try and buy you some time, I guess. Like, that's the best I can do. So
yeah, now my question is he going to go fight the Legion, or is he going to go fight people who are trying to stop her?
I think he's going to go fight people that are trying to stop her, like any sort of like rebellion of them. I don't know. Maybe he's just going to, because the people are going to go crazy, right? All your regular civilians who thought this war has nothing to do with them and it's never going to affect them.
I mean, even though soldiers, like none of them gave a shit.
Yeah, they really don't care. And the regular people, there's 0 casualties every single day. So
yeah, so the moment they see someone die, it's like, oh no.
Yeah, obviously the good part of this episode with like Shin's group is that they mentioned that like, they have this big onslaught, but there's also like these other onslaughts going on in the 2 different areas or like that.
Yeah.
So at least with this, you can kind of hope that Shin and them now are going to get permission to kind of, go back, help out the other side. Yeah, well, and we might be getting a meeting.
True. I mean, there was 3 other fronts because there was the 2 allies and there was the Western front, which was against the Federacy Federacy is where they are now.
Yeah. They're the Federacy of Giad or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah.
And the Empire is the dickbag blonde or dickbag platinum hair people.
If you call yourself the Empire, you're not really giving yourself any PR credit. So
yeah, I'm excited to see. I'm obviously everyone's still waiting for this meeting at some point, but I'm hoping the progression of this now is that Shin and them have helped fight them off. With that big one kind of retreating, they think that even without them, they're making the new machines out there. Maybe they're going to have some people in the military be trained a little bit better. And then maybe they're going to be like, hey, take these machines, take Fido, let's take, remade Fido.
So basically what they did at the end of the first core and just reverse.
Yeah, reverse, go back and just go back home.
Maybe still get some supply runs.
Yeah. But then, they get to the point where then it's going to be like a pincer attack on the Legion that are attacking the Empire. And
true.
I don't know. We got a lot of stuff to look forward to.
I think the biggest issue is I don't know if the Federacy would be willing to give up their aces.
But the whole point of the Federacy is that they are literally trying to not have these people fight. So I think that they will not be like, no, now you must stay. I
mean, morally, yes, but if they just say like, okay, yeah, you can go. We're going to give you some military tech. Go fight them. And
hey, fighting legions.
I mean, true.
Because if the Legion just get the Empire, they just grow their army. And then they come back and they fight the Federacy again.
True. I mean, does the Federacy know that they're using heads to build
I'm going to assume so with Frederica being there and stuff like that. Like,
you're assuming that they're listening to Frederica.
I mean, she was with like the one guy who had a pretty big, Esther or whatever the hell his name was. He seemed to have a pretty big role.
Yeah, he was like the prime minister, wasn't he? So
yeah, that's it. I think that I'm going to assume at this point that they are, and they kind of know the danger. So I don't think they'll have an issue giving them up. They'll probably give them a little bit of gear, a little bit of ammunition, send them on their way, and just hope that like, maybe they go help the Empire, and then the Empire and the Giad can kind of work together a little bit better in the future. They can kind of acknowledge that they're there and make, you can have supply runs and.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue is that they're going like, hey, we know what you did to the 86 and the Empire is just going to shut down.
I also wonder like with the actual distance, like, cause it's, I really like the end of the first core where it's like the team traveling along, but you really don't get a scale for like distance.
Yeah, because we had no idea what their supplies were. We don't know about fuel efficiency or anything like that.
Yeah.
But we know the Federacy has claimed the city where they ended their fight. Or like where they died.
Yeah, like the area, yeah.
Yeah, so they got to that point. So, I mean, there can't be that much distance.
Probably not. It just any distance probably seems incredibly great when, going out there is risking death.
Yeah, and there's just armies of killer robots trying to murder you. So.
Yeah. So, hopefully we just see some sort of a team up. I'm just really excited for the Melens and Shin meeting. I'm also excited just for next episode, like Melens, commanding. Because at the end of this one, she puts on the fucking Alta para raid and talks to every single every single processor and every single are they called processors or operators?
Processor is the commander.
Okay, yeah.
Well, the operators are the ones that are actually.
Yeah, so she's talking to all of them. So she's like,
maybe it's the other way around.
It might be the other way around
because that would make more sense. Like the processor would be like the computer component, while operator would be the one using it.
Yeah, I don't know. Either way, she talks to everybody. She's basically like, we're getting our shit together. We're doing this.
Yeah,
So
I got a little bit of Power Rangers vibes from the thing she put on. It was like, oh shit, she's not fucking around.
yeah, next episode's getting real. That's for sure. So yeah, if you're a fan of this episode, just keep an eye out. We're going to talk about the rest of the core. We're only a couple episodes in still. Like this was like 5 episodes, I believe.
Yeah, they still have a half season left.
Yeah, there's still a lot to go and shit's getting real fast. So I like the way they started the season. I'll be excited now for just going to this, Empire battle. Maybe we get some side story with Shin for the next couple episodes in the background, but we're mainly going to focus on like Malen's.
Do you think they're going to try and like talk Shin down, or do you think they're going to like embrace the battle lust for a little bit to win the war?
I think that I think we're done with the Federacy right now for the most part.
It's probably going to be an episode or two before we get back to them, but at some point we're going to see Shin.
Yeah, I think that we might see a little bit of him in the side episodes, like in the side of it at some point, but I think it's just going to be them getting ready to leave. I think this was their last battle with the Federacy for now, at least.
Probably.
I think they're gonna like talk to their blonde commander lady, who's gonna be like, "Okay, well, we fixed up your machines. We gave you enough ammunition. You should be able to make it. And like, thanks to your guys' help, we have our new line of vloggers, or whatever the hell they're called. And that should help keep more people safe now. And this is gonna be their parting from the Federacy to go try and help the Empire.
True. I still think they might resist them going a little bit, because while they have people using the newer machines, not a lot of people want to use them because they're not designed for user safety. Mm-hmm. They're just metal coffins, and it's kind of hard to get people to get in those.
Yeah, maybe her next design that she's coming out with, though, like based off them, is going to be the safer version.
I mean, okay,
maybe, you never know. Or it could be some of them, like some of the higher ups we see being kind of dickbags in the previous episode. They are wanting to keep the 86 to win the war, but the commander lady and like the prime minister guy, they're like, no, go, like we'll hold them back, like we'll
say you died in battle.
Yeah, we'll fudge some paperwork or something. But yeah, the only way for us to find it is by actually staying tuned and watching. So yeah, if you're just a fan of the 86, leave a comment down below. Always keep it spoiler free. Just let us know what you thought about this episode, and let us know how pumped you are for next week's episode, when Malen's is probably going to go she's going to go sicko mode.
Yeah.
Just add a computer though. But unless maybe Commander goes in battle.
Oh my god, her like commanding them while in battle. That'd be next level.
I don't really know what she would be able to do in battle, but
shoot somebody.
How much is that really going to do?
I mean, if they're trying to stop her a fair bit.
I feel like it's definitely going to be like her held up in a room, and some people are going to be trying to get to it to stop her, and just one of those classics. But we'll see. We don't really imagine now that really anyone's going to make a big opposition in the city, even to her. I think they're all just going to be panicking and running and being idiots. Yeah,
and even then, the reaction of like, oh my god, she let the 86 in to try and save us.
Yeah, it's like, if you're going to die anyways, fucking like, why does it even matter? You might as well die having faith that some of the 86 will still help a little bit out of just guilt or out of pity, but I don't know. We'll find out next week. Keep an eye out. We'll be talking about the 86 next week. Next up on the list is Mushoku Tensei. So, before I even watched this episode, I saw a YouTube comment, or like a YouTube community post, that said this episode is like the biggest difference from the manga yet. Now, from what I've heard, consensus, we watched the episode already and everything. The light novel, this is very much like the light novel. Like this episode follows the same path as the light novel, while the manga changed it up a little bit. And it seems like more people like this and the light novel version than the manga. Okay. Apparently the manga made Rudy seem a lot more right in his argument with Paul, while the light novel kind of makes them both look like they have points, and you're not really feeling good about either of it at the end. Right. Like, you don't really, you can see some of Rudy's point in like their whole argument, but you can also completely understand Paul's point too, where it's not like
neither side is right.
Yeah, because you argue, you're like, okay, like Rudy, like Paul doesn't know that Rudy's this like grown man. Rudy is just only a kid, but at the same time, Paul is just like, you're not just a kid, Rudy. You're Rudy. Like, I expected you to know, it's not like he wouldn't have expected a regular 10-year-old kid to have been able to solve this, but he expected Rudy to, because he knows his son. Yeah, but at the same time, like, what did Rudy have that would tell him this happened? I mean, he did. It just like it. He made the assumption like you really wouldn't know how many people it would take. You don't know the size of it as you get swept up. But he didn't check like the board of the Adventurers Guild. There's like little things. He just never really thought about it, right? Like, we've never seen him. This episode was the first time where he's like, oh, maybe I should write to Paul. Yeah, I mean, even then, the logistics of sending a letter from the Demon Continent to his hometown. I definitely thought there was gonna be more. Like, when Paul really started getting mad when he was talking about like him cheating on the mother, I thought like we were gonna like reveal that like someone was dead. Yeah, and then but we didn't. But I thought that's where it was going. But yeah, I guess we'll give you the quick synopsis first. You've seen it if you're watching this. I always try to balance the amount of synopsis we give more with just discussing the episode. But for the most part, they get to the new city. What the hell was it called? Like Millis? The Holy Empire of Millis. they get to the city. It's like the first human civilization they've been in. And they're like, okay, we just got to go. We're going to make some money here because apparently the jobs here pay a lot. We're going to make money here, and then we don't have to make another stop. We'll take our boat, and we'll all get back, and it'll all work out. But basically, he's like, oh, look, we're just going to stay here for a little while and make a lot of money. And then while he's thinking that, he's like, you know what, maybe now that I'm finally in the human place and I have access to, like letters and stuff, I'll send a note to Paul and just say what's up,
Right.
See how everyone's doing. And then, he kind of gets caught up while...
Yeah, he sees some guy with... just running down the street basically with somebody with a bag over their head.
Yes, yeah. He's like, oh, I'm not going to do anything, and then he's like, oh fuck. He's like, a dead ends rule. We don't allow child kidnapping.
Yeah.
So he goes
always
after
protect
them.
the children. Rule 2: always protect the children.
So he goes after them, and then of course, while going after them, he gets himself in a bunch of classic antics. He's fighting a whole crew. He gets some panties accidentally stuck on his head.
No, he deliberately put them on.
Accidentally stuck on his head. Even while he's fighting, and he's using like the demon eye, he's dodging everything, but he's having a hard time focusing.
Yeah.
And then of course the boss comes in, and as the audience, we know who it was immediately.
Yeah, they kept him in shadow. They had him like swinging from a bottle. It's like, really, you think?
Yeah, and the name of the episode was also like family meeting or something like that. Yeah. So it wasn't a secret to the audience, but we're supposed to be like, oh, they clearly don't recognize each other.
Yeah, I mean, there could have been the argument like maybe he found one of his sisters or his mother up until that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, so he fights. So it's Rudy and Paul fighting until Paul slices the underwear off Rudy's face, and he's like, oh, Rudy, that's you. Yeah. He's like, yeah, what's up? He's like, oh, Paul.
Yeah, even during the fight, like when Rudy turned the ground to mud, he's like, you fight like him. It's like,
yeah,
like he sounded like
actually, a sneaky little bitch.
Yeah, he sounded really bitter about that.
Yeah. So really, they get together. They go to like a bar. The entire bar is basically just filled with Paul's crew. When Rudy starts telling Paul like what's happened since he's been gone.
Yeah, he's really embellishing. He's really building it up to make himself look good.
It's been like a year and a half, so he's telling him like the whole story, everything that happened, and then like basically Paul stops him at one point. He's like, "That's enough," and he's like disappointed in Rudy. Basically, they had this big conversation where he thinks that Rudy never considered stuff like where the rest of his family went, where the entire like town went.
Yeah.
After that like mana disaster. And Rudy's trying to argue, being like, I'm just a kid. He's like, I was trying to protect Eris, like I was, and Paul's like, you care more about like this, like, your girlfriend than you care about like your like family.
Well, he didn't say that to that. He said that when he brought it after he mentioned that everyone else was missing. Oh. And Rudy responded with, "Wait, Sophie's missing?"
Yeah,
as opposed to saying his mother or his sisters.
To be fair, in the same sense, where I think Paul should have made the point there of being like, you care more about your girlfriend than like your sisters, because he started by saying like your mother, but like even Rudy knows his mother's pretty competent. So
yeah, she was a former adventurer who has holy magic.
So yeah, so I think realistically Rudy should not be concerned that bad about his mother missing, but like his sisters, obviously, like if his sisters went to like a different place than his mother and stuff, they're like 6 years old or something. Yeah, they're like young.
Even the maid who's like the mother of the other sister, it's like,
yeah, she's just a maid.
Like one of the reasons he kept her, like tried to keep her in the house, was because like I don't think she's gonna make it anywhere. Yeah,
so it's basically just one big argument where in the light novel, apparently, and like definitely in the episode form I got, is that neither person is right and neither person's wrong. Like when you leave, and Rudy's even trying to explain to himself. He's like, "Oh, we'll get over this. Like I'll talk to him tomorrow. I'll be fine." And then while thinking about it, he like throws up, showing he's having like a little bit of a panic attack. And even when everyone in the bar is kind of like judging him, it's bringing back like flashbacks to like his previous life. They're both right. They're both wrong. Paul's a little harsh, but I mean that's just kind of how Paul is.
I mean, yeah, he's also had a pretty rough time of it since then. So.
Yeah, like he's looking rough. That's for sure.
Yeah, like we did find he found one of the sisters.
He did, yeah.
Who doesn't recognize Rudy,
and that's Rudy's full sister. Yeah, doesn't recognize Rudy. That hurt Rudy a little bit. He just kind of walked out, didn't say anything else. You definitely still feel very bad for Rudy when he leaves, because you're like we know that any other 10-year-old in the world that would happen to, like the father could not have possibly expected him to do any more than Rudy could have ever done. Yeah. But it's just because Paul believes in like his son so much, he figured that in his mind he was like, oh, as soon as Rudy landed somewhere, he was immediately looking for his family.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can really say to that is Rudy had no idea how big that disaster was.
Yeah, they were literally like the first people to be sucked up in that. It like landed right in front of them. It went to them. They don't. It's not like they're like far away. They see the whole city be taken by it, then it hits them. So they're like, okay, I saw that whole city get hit by the mana disaster.
Yeah, they
must all be gone.
They were in the middle of a field, nowhere near any cities.
We legit had no idea how big it was until Paul wrote that thing. until
Yeah.
like, Paul at the end of the last cour where Paul wrote it like the letter.
Because he was in the city with Eris's family, which is like multiple days travel. And they went out to a field so Rudy can show off some magic.
Yeah.
And then that hit, and apparently it hit the village, but not the city.
I have no idea.
Unless, like, the only other thing I can think of is if he went to the place where Roxy taught him the
maybe
magic.
they went like really far out.
Yeah, but in that case, they made multiple days trip just for him to show off.
Yeah, I mean, Rudy would probably do that, but
Or like, was he like going to show her his like hometown or something?
we'd have to rewatch some of that, like when the man disaster happens and when Paul is like putting up the notice kind of thing.
Yeah, like if they were like outside the town, like okay, yeah, Rudy probably should have thought of that, but
It could have been, yeah, I don't know. It could have been like both, but I'm from what I feel like he never once mentions that like Eris's entire family kind of people are gone or anything like that.
well, no, Eris's family was fine because we got to see the grandfather get executed because apparently he didn't respond correctly.
Yeah, right.
So like the city didn't get hit.
Yeah, it was just the town somehow. But it is kind of like I didn't even think we knew about the family in the end of the last season, but I didn't even think about like Sylvie and stuff like that. So
Yeah, like we had no real reason of thinking that they all got hit.
no, and there's no way Rudy could have known because he was already like it was literally like hit Ghislaine and then hit the two of them, hit Rudy and Eris. There's no possible way, but somehow I mean to be fair, Paul also doesn't know, you know, that it hit Rudy before it hit the town. Like there's all these like questions, you know.
Like I don't think he had any reason to assume Rudy got hit.
Well, I mean, he would have had to know that Rudy got hit if he's gone.
Well, did he know Rudy was gone? Because did he go like through the town and say, "Hey, do you know where my son is?"
I mean, I'm assuming they're like, oh yeah, he's gone. He went away with Ghislaine and Eris. I don't know. He knows, but it's one of those things where apparently in like the manga they made like you as the audience just side with Rudy like fully on it, being like, "Oh, Paul's such a dickbag." Like,
yeah, they probably portrayed him just as a drunk who was just trying to vent. And then
yeah, I don't know for sure, but so if you're anybody who's either read the light novel or the manga, you can let us know down below. That's just what I heard from seeing like one little community post on it. But yeah, I don't know. It was a good episode. At the end of it, there, the big portion is that like Eris comforts Rudy at that point. Eris is like, "I'm gonna go kick Paul's ass," and Rudy's like, "No. Let's not do that. How about instead you just you don't get in the middle. Family matters. Just go comfort Rudy."
Yeah.
So she comforts Rudy. I'm trying to think how the actual episode ends. Does it just end with that?
I think it ends with that because Rudy's just like looking there despondent.
Yeah, I don't really know what's going to go on with the next episode. Do you think he's going to meet Paul and them again, or do you think like he's actually not going to?
Either Paul's already fucked off, or he's going to go meet him and say, like, "Hey, can I help?"
I think that if I had to guess, I'm going to say that he goes back to like the next day to be like, "Oh, I'm going to go re-talk to Paul. I'm going to talk to my sister. I'm going to explain. I'm going to try to help," and he's going to go, and they're going to be gone.
Yeah.
And then maybe that'll make you side with Rudy a little bit more, being like, kind of a dick move, Paul, like not saying bye to your son. And I don't know, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of strain in their relationship from this.
Yeah.
I do like how Rudy beat Paul, though. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, like Paul doesn't know he has the demon eye. I'm sure he wasn't trying to actively beat his son that badly.
Yeah, just in the last part, right, where he goes to him and he like hits him up into like the ceiling, and then he actually just gets on top of him and starts wailing on him until the sister comes out.
Yeah, like obviously Paul wasn't fighting back at that point because he was kind of surprised.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I don't know. I'm just excited to see what happens. It was an emotional episode, a dramatic episode. It didn't have it wasn't what I was expecting for the episode.
Yeah, I was expecting them to like just do some like random jobs and like meet up with the monkey dude at the adventuring guild. And,
yeah, or just like some sort of, even if it was like a family meeting, I was expecting the mom in this place, not Paul. Because I didn't think Paul would be anywhere. He sent out adventurers. I figured at that point he sends out adventurers and he goes wherever he didn't send the adventurers. But
I mean, it's been a year and a half too, right? So he's probably been going through a lot of places. And once they figured out slavery was an issue with this,
yeah, and he does have he has this whole crew. He basically has like the entire tavern at that point is filled with people who are like part of his team. The guy that was being kidnapped earlier, Rudy, then recognizes as like the kid who used to bully like Sylvie, and stuff like that. So it's just showing like, oh, more people got taken by this whole like mana disaster thing. Yeah. So yeah, it really just comes down to what we think is going to happen next week, and it's either that he goes back and maybe talks to Paul, and they're still kind of fighting, but he's like, oh, I'll go look, I'll go that direction and look while I'm taking like Eris home or something like that.
Yeah. You just find out it's like, hey, do you have somewhere you're sending people that I can send them along to, or
yeah. And then, or as I said, I think there's a possibility he just like goes to try to talk to Paul the next day and then they're gone. Or of course, maybe he doesn't even attempt to. Maybe he's like, I'm not going to talk to Paul.
Yeah. I mean, I think Rudy's the type who's stubborn enough. He might think to himself, I'm just going to go and try and fix this myself. And
yeah. And you never know. Like even this whole time has been about like getting Eris home. But in the last year and a half, they've all changed a lot. Like they could also just care less about getting Eris home now. Like Eris has become like an adult in like the last like year and a half. To the point where she's like, it's not that Rudy really even needs to take her home. They could go out and search a different continent trying to find all their family members. Eris might just be down. She's like, oh, I want to help go look for your sister and the maid. Or
yeah, I mean, she's had a lot of fun traveling, and she always dreamt of becoming an adventurer.
Yeah, this time she was going out to kill goblins, and we got like a little bit of a goblin slayer vision.
I think everybody who saw that scene just had that moment of like, oh no.
Yeah, where she's like, I'm gonna go hunt goblins, and Rudy's like, and in his head you just see like her being grabbed by the goblins, and he's like, I don't think you should go alone. And Rudy's like, no, just let her go. She's fine.
Yeah, it's like they're just goblins, man. It's like those are famous last words.
Yeah, but maybe he saw Goblin Slayer before he got reincarnated.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Good episode, very dramatic. I'm excited for whatever the fallout of this is going to be next week. Obviously, big strain on their family relationship going forward.
Do you think we're going to get like a Roxy episode?
I don't think so.
I mean, they kind of left them, and I feel like they wouldn't have put so much focus on them if they weren't going to find somebody.
I guess. At some point, I would assume that they would find maybe like the maid or...
We'd probably have maid and a kid.
Yeah.
Just to put like the mind at ease about them early, so...
Yeah, I guess, and then it would just be looking for like the mom and...
Yeah.
Yeah, when like Rudy started making the comment being like, oh, you've already forgotten about like mom kind of thing, like you're already moving on with this girl, like, and then like Paul's getting pissed. I'm like, oh, we're gonna find it like the mom's dead or something, Didn't happen at least. That would have been a sad little episode, so at least we avoided that. They're lost, but they're fine.
I mean, it really just comes down to like, who are the kids with?
This world's not even that harsh, right? Like, sure, all the kids who got lost got sold into slavery and stuff, but like...
Well, it's not even the kids. Like, it would just be like everybody who had no idea what to do when you get teleported to a random country.
Yeah. Luckily, Rudy's got teleported. I was about to say got teleported to the good continent. He didn't, but he knows the language at least.
Yeah.
And they got really lucky with who found them very fast.
Yeah.
The one guy who wants to help children like more than anything.
True.
Not everybody got so lucky. But yeah, it was a good episode. Obviously, if you guys are fans of Mushoku Tensei, it's one of the most talked about things in our comments.
Yeah.
Leave some comments down below, especially if you have any knowledge that I was talking about with like the light novel versus manga versus anime. You can leave that down below. Just, always make sure to mark anything that is too spoiler heavy. And we'll be talking about it next week. Next up on the list is Faraway Paladin. This week was it was episode 4, I think?
Yeah, episode 3 would have ended with the gun. This would have been 4.
We're on like the 4 area directly from last week. It got dramatic at the end. Blood and Will had their little fight, and then they're like, okay, Will, you're all good to become a man now. And as he's about to take off, the frickin' god comes down, and he's like, sup, I'm ready to take y'all souls.
It's like, yeah, you don't have any attachments left, so you're mine now. Cool.
Yeah, and then at the end of the episode, as it's all looking bad, Gus shows up, and he's like, nah, fuck you. And then this episode directly starts there with Gus just unleashing like spell after spell.
Yeah, Gus has been preparing for this.
Yeah, Gus just breaks down some quintuplet magic shit, and he just like, it looks like very quickly he just like destroys the god. And you're like, oh, sick, good job, Gus. They're all like celebrating, like, oh, sweet, we don't have to go, like, oh, this is dope, kind of thing. And then they all just got like, Gus just gets like cut in half.
Yeah.
Blood gets like smashed a little bit. I don't know what happens to Mummy Lady. Something happens. Everyone gets like a little scene of them getting like goofed a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think it was like deliberately destroying their bodies with that. I think it was just like he knocked her out or something.
Okay. Then like the demon shows back. He's like, oh, good thing I decided to put like myself into 2 bodies or something.
Yeah, I divided myself into 2 so this wouldn't happen.
Yeah, and then like he fights a little bit, and his main thing though, he's like, Will, you look really talented. He's like, what about I'll give you the day until sun like set tomorrow to think about whether or not you want to join me. Yeah,
I'll make you a general. You get to stay with them.
Yeah, you get to get out of that stupid living body. Who wants that living meat sack as a body when you could be a cool undead thing and live forever? So he's like, okay, good, take your day. And then like the next day doesn't really have much. We see that he, because what's he really doing the next day?
He dragged their bodies back to the temple and cried himself to sleep.
Got woken up by them.
Yeah.
Because I think he thought they were like dead or something. I don't know.
I guess.
But he gets woken up by them. And then he's like, they're like, oh, Will, like, okay, leave. They're like, go on your journey now. You're set. And he's like, I'm not leaving you guys. He's like, will you guys trust me with like a sick plan?
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, yeah, I guess we'll. And then he goes, I think he prays to the gods first.
Yeah. I mean, there was one scene before that where he basically breaks down and actually tells him he's reincarnated and remembers his previous life.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck though.
I think Mary, like, she cared a little bit. She just backhanded him.
Well, it wasn't that she cared about that. She more cared that he was basically Because he's like, oh, in my old life, he's like, I never really did anything. He's like, so in this life, I wanted like to try harder kind of thing. And
Yeah.
you know, he's like, oh, it was all for nothing. And you know, she gave him more like the slap to be like, stop being so like negative. Like, you know,
Basically, yeah.
you've tried really hard since you were a kid. Like, you know, you're a good boy.
Yeah.
Until he's like, okay, I want to fight. He's like, can you guys like, are you guys down for my plan? And then we see him like pray to the god. Then we see him go out, and then he's like, I won't do what you want, bad guy.
Yeah.
And he's, you know, he has like his own little plan, but it's not fully working, and he's taking out a lot of like skeletons and undead.
Yeah, which we find out are actually all the heroes who were buried here that fought with blood in them back in the day.
Yeah, he literally fucking basically tricked Will into fighting on the spot with all the dead bodies. But like Will goes down at one point, and then Will like wakes up, and he's seeing a goddess. You know, he's like, oh, I recognize this chick. I don't know from where. And then he realizes like, oh, this is like, she was here. She guided me to this world when I died in the last one.
Yeah.
And then it's basically the goddess blesses him, because as we know that every person picks their like god or goddess to like serve, and you know, blood sometimes it's almost like a curse in a sense. We have to follow them, and
yeah, the greater the oath you swear, the greater the hardships you face.
Yeah, so you know, Willie gets up, he wakes up from his little nap, and he's now serving a god, and he just starts popping off.
Yeah, because he specifically started following the god of death and rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the direct counter to the god of the undead.
Yes, yeah, the thing that undead people, or I guess the undead god, does not like, because when he hears the name of the god that Will is like sworn to, he's like, oh no.
I almost feel like he was just more bitter. It's like, god damn it, she got it to him before I did.
Yeah, right on time too.
Yeah.
But yeah, he kind of, because I'm trying to remember, because it feels like this was forever ago, because he fights them off.
Yeah.
He's doing really well.
Yeah, he cut off his arm. He's using a bunch of holy magic just like annihilate the skeletons now, so they're not doing anything.
Yeah, he's got some sick, like, yeah, it was a lot of like magic
Yeah.
for the most part. He's got his sword that obviously when he hits it heals back and that kind of shit too, which is nice. I'm just trying to remember how the episode ends.
I feel like it ends with the fight.
Does it just end abruptly? Because I was like, it's always like I'm trying to like, oh, like what was the last thing we saw in the episode? But this one, all I can think about is the fight. I don't really think about anything else. Like,
there was no real resolution. I think it was basically just him like, hey, I've got holy magic now, let's fight.
Okay, so you think we're moving next week? We're just continuing the fight.
I think so. I don't think it's going to be like the whole episode, but we're definitely getting the resolution.
Yeah, I want to see Will go on his journey. Meet more people, that kind of stuff. Like, that's going to be exciting. But it's also like, which situation is he leaving with like his family?
Yeah, is this like he's going out to get revenge because Stagnate took his family from him, or is he going out because his family is now safe?
Yeah, I feel like he's not going to just be able to full out kill this god in episode like 5. So that doesn't seem likely. And I feel like if the god's alive, then his family's not safe. So the only outcome I'm really seeing here is that he's still, even with his new power from the god, still like loses a little bit. They get taken or something like that.
Yeah, maybe he goes out to find a way to kill the god permanently.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe they like seal him. Maybe kind of like the other god. Maybe they seal him temporarily.
Yeah.
Because you got to remember, he said like, "Hey, will you guys like listen to my plan with like Blood and Mary and Gus?"
Yeah. So they,
but they haven't done anything. Yeah. I feel like they would very much just be like, "Okay, what's your plan?" He's like, "I'm gonna go 1v1 him. You guys stay home." And they're like, "Yeah, okay, sounds good. Will, like, good luck. Good luck."
Yeah.
Guy.
Maybe his plan was like, "Hey, you taught me how to use a sword. You prayed with me a lot. And you taught me magic.
Good plan, guys." Yeah, it's possible that he's gonna like weaken him, and then like Gus and them are gonna come out last second, like they did for the hero, and they're gonna seal him, and that'll give them time to be safe until he finds a way to permanently, kill the god or something.
Yeah,
that would be that's a good guess. That's a good guess based off the knowledge we have in the 3 episodes or 4 episodes.
I mean, I think it's the most reasonable explanation we have. So
yeah, because I can't see Will killing the god in episode 4, and I can't see if he doesn't kill the god, then his family being fine. So
yeah, I mean, maybe if you destroy the avatar, it takes him a long time to like regenerate.
Yeah, so they're like, oh, he's not going to come back for like 5 years. Will, get it there.
Yeah,
enjoy the next 5 years.
Yeah, come back in 4.5, and we'll figure this out again.
And we'll plan it out. Yeah. I think the show, I was expecting more from the fight in this one, like the animation wise. It was a lot of just like slashing and not a bunch happening.
Yeah, CGI skeletons and
yeah. So I was expecting a little bit more, but I at least like that. I liked like the goddess choice. That was obviously a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Like waiting for like, oh, which god will they choose? And of course, it's like one we don't really know about.
Yeah, I don't think they ever talked about this one. Maybe it's because they were undead, they didn't want to bring it up. But
maybe I just feel like it couldn't have been like when they name all the other gods that they each serve. We can't just pick one of those. You can't pick like the same one as one of them. He's got to pick like a special one. So I was like, oh, like which special god who will he pick? And then it makes sense. He's reincarnated and he's picking like the god of like rebirth and stuff. So
yeah,
maybe he'll get some sweet ReZero powers.
It just starts resetting until he wins.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it though. It's a very simple episode. It was mainly just him fighting skeletons for the whole thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
I think the only really big standouts were just like him finally has like swearing his oath to the god, and now he's more powerful because of it. That's really it. That's like where we're
Sure.
going. I just want to see him leave. I'm just ready for like this world.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I'll say about this episode, I like that someone who was reincarnated actually sat down with someone's like, hey, I'm reincarnated.
Yeah, he's like, hey, yeah. I mean, there's no reason why they wouldn't believe him either, right? They're like undead people in like a magic world. For him to be like, hey, I lived a previous life. I didn't like do anything in that life. I like regret the way I lived. Then I died. So in this life, I wanted to try harder.
Yeah. Like he never actually said he was from another world, right? And this world has rebirth. So,
Yeah, I don't think he specifically. Maybe he did say I'm from like another world though. I don't know. I had to go back and watch it to actually find out for sure. Either way, yeah, but it was nice, cool seeing someone reincarnated in an isekai. Just I fully admit it because most people have to keep it secret.
Yeah, like, I think what was the one with Rio?
This is Sengoki something. I don't know.
Yeah, like he kind of admitted it when he was talking to the one girl because she was also reincarnated, but that was it.
Yeah.
So
that was pretty much it. Yeah. And then because she was like, oh, he's like, oh, you know, I'm also from Japan. And she's like, oh, you're like that guy on the bus.
Yeah. And then he was like, now you live with these beach people and I go away.
Yeah. Now you're part of here. Go. Yeah. So it was a good episode. I'm just excited to see where we go. I think that this episode was probably my least favorite, just in the sense where I liked like the world building that we're getting going on slowly, and this one was just like, hey, you got to fight. So
yeah, this is more of like a catalyst to get him out into the rest of the world. So
yeah, and like the rest of this world is still really vague to us. Like we know that they didn't even know if any humans had survived until they brought like Will there to sacrifice, and they're like, well, if they brought Will from somewhere, someone's got to have humans.
Yeah, someone has to be humans, and they have to be relatively close.
And it's an isekai with the main character being male, so he needs a harem. So where are they getting all the girls from? So,
I mean, we've seen like what 3 girls in the opening.
I think so. Yeah. So we have girls to meet. So I think that hopefully we solve the battle in the early next episode, and then we just finally he moves on, and we get to see a little bit of him leaving the world.
Yeah,
that's the hope, anyways. But if you're a fan of the Faraway Paladin, let us know down below. We'll be talking about it next week. Next up is an anime that came out yesterday. It's the newest episode of Takt OP.
Yeah.
The only thing I was still semi-confused about, it was a good episode.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. I think that Takt is one of the ones where the last time we talked about it, there was not the last episode because of the release date, I think.
Yes. So there was a gap between the last episode and this one because it came out yesterday.
Yes, because
we last recorded on a Monday.
Yes, because episode 4 was the casino episode, which we never talked about.
Yes.
The only thing I was confused about is in the casino episode, there are 2 main plot points from that are important. Where one is about like Lenny and whatever the hell Lenny's partner's name.
Titan.
Yeah, they were like training Takt and Destiny in a sense.
Yeah.
And then in even this episode, we see like the fruition of that training has already really paid off.
Yeah, she can actually fight without completely training Takt.
And then the second thing is that we're seeing that Lenny is like doing some sort of secret investigation about just probably some sketchy shit going on in the Symphonica. As you know, we get to see payoff pretty early in this episode.
Yeah.
The thing about it though is like the time frame is weird now because like right at the end of the casino episode, they finally leave Lenny.
Yeah.
But where does that put the first episode? Because the first episode, they're not that in sync. They're not like fighting very well. They're still arguing. But then we go to this episode immediately after they leave Lenny to the train episode where now they're like fighting really, really well.
I mean, in the first episode, they were fighting well. It was just a lot of enemies.
No,
and the very first fight, it was because she just fucked off without him.
Yeah, she instantly bails. But in this one, it's like she's like following his commands when he says that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Even in the first one, she's not really doing that. Like he's not like really like pinpointing where he wants her to hit and stuff like that. Like we saw in this entire last episode. So it like, just makes it feel like it's kind of weird place for the first one.
I mean, it's possible that takes place between Lenny leaving and them getting here.
Yeah, but you'd think that they would have been like, oh, Lenny just trained us. Like, well, let's try some of this. Because I feel like the first episode was very, very vague with how...
I mean, the first episode, they couldn't really say, let's put what Lenny taught us to use, because then we'd be like, who the fuck is Lenny?
It just seems like one of those things, like the first episode, they wanted to be really vague with how the power worked. He's like standing there without an arm. He like throws her a stick. She takes the stick, throws it back, and then we're like, what the fuck? How does this work?
He didn't throw her the stick. He just kind of waved his arm at her, turned into the stick that she then threw at him.
And you're just like, how does this work? And then in the most recent episode with Lenny, he's kind of like, it's still, they're not giving us like the science breakdown of how it works, but he's like explaining how it's supposed to work. He's, you're conducting her. And then in the most recent episode, we see their fighting has increased a lot. Yeah. Even with strategy, he's like, oh, I'm going to point to the spots. I'm going to freaking point to the spots you're going to hit. And she hits those exact spots. And it's like they're working together as a team.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's still the issue of her taking up way too much of his like life force.
Yeah, even early in that fight, he had like I don't even know what it reminds me of the taint from Noragami.
Yeah. I was always wondering if it was like he's supposed to be like really bloody in those spots. I'm like, no, it's just like his skin definitely just goes a little weird. But
yeah, I think it's supposed to indicate like just draining too much of the life force. And
yeah, The big thing too is that we meet a music art who has like no conductor.
Yeah.
In this, they mentioned how they like tire quicker and stuff like that too, and it's like kind of what's happening to like Destiny sometimes because she's like using his life force. So maybe there's in this like weird half paired state.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the fact that it was almost like a symbiotic rebirth for them because Takt lost his arm and then she came back to life.
Mm-hmm. And like, yeah, she came back to life. It was maybe it's like a Fullmetal Alchemist. He paid an arm to to keep her soul there, kind of thing.
Oh, so he just has to pay the leg and she'll be fine.
Exactly. Yeah. This episode was a good episode though. It mainly focuses on they meet, their car breaks down after them killing some D2s. They meet the guy who it looks like an absolute evil dickbag.
Oh my god, definitely. He's even got the Jester music card.
Yeah, and he's like kind of like scumbag. He's basically like second in command. The only one higher than him is the actual commander of the Symphonica.
Yeah.
And we saw him back in episode 2, I think, was the first
he
flashback.
seems like a decent guy.
Seems like a decent guy. He's probably going to be the decent one. This guy's obviously the scumbag. He even mentions like Lenny being a little sus, because obviously Lenny's probably investigating him and all the weird shit he's doing. And then right as soon as their car breaks down, we see them pull up on the train, and he's like, "Oh, come on here." And early in the episode, we know that he already knows about Takt and Destiny from like the footage they saw, saying like, "Oh, there's an unregistered operator. What the hell? Composer and music art."
Conductor and music card.
Yeah, conductor and music card. Yeah, he's like, "There's," and then they pull up to them on a train. He's like, "Oh, hop on the train. We'll take you down to Houston," kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then a lot of it's just they meet this one music art who's really intense.
Valkyrie.
Yeah, was it Valkyrie?
It's something by Waller. I can't remember the actual title.
Yeah, it wasn't Valkyrie.
It was like Valkyr.
It was something close to that. Like it sounded almost like Valkyrie if you would have said it, but it wasn't like how it was spelled.
It sounded like Valkyrie going through the Japanese lexicon.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, we find out she doesn't have a composer.
Yeah, she's a little uptight.
Conductor. I keep thinking composer.
I mean,
Close
might as
enough.
well be.
Yeah. And then, we see them do this big fight. Many D2 birds are flying, and we see them, Takt and now Destiny, are working way better together. Both just in the actual fighting and then like the strategizing, as Takt is, kind of coming to his own as the conductor.
Yeah.
And then we also see that I was like, is he collecting a girl here?
That's what I was thinking.
I was thinking, I was like, he's, because, they mentioned like, hey, you could take her too. Like she doesn't have a composer if you're really nice to her.
The one music art was just kind of creepy. She just kind of leans. It's like, just take her by force. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, she also asked if she can have Destiny's eyes at the one part. So.
Yeah, she's definitely gonna be evil. Even the fact that she just has like saw blade legs.
Yeah, we saw her rev up her saw blade legs, fly up the mountain, and just like insta kill the one huge D2.
Yeah.
A lot of setup in the episode is just kind of introducing us to probably who is our villain. And then I do like seeing the growth, because even he mentions, he's like, "Oh, you guys are as good as full-fledged conductors." And he's like, "Why don't you guys join me?" Like,
Yeah, I'll give you a nice position and
work for me. And Tax is like, he doesn't even let him finish sentence. He's like, "No, we're good." And then he's like, "Do you have something else?" "No." "Okay, bye." And then they drive away in the car.
I feel like for all the shit people give Takt, I think he's actually decent at reading people.
Yeah.
He's like, "You're sketchy as hell. I'm walking away."
Yeah, he's like, "That's gonna be a no from me, dog." Instantly gets in the car. They drive away.
Yeah.
Even like the sister, what's her name?
I'm not gonna lie, I can't remember.
It's like Anna or not. I don't know.
I don't know. It's weird because you've got Cosette, which is very, very French, and then it might be Anna,
I don't know.
like
It's
her
some-
Annette.
Yeah, it's like their sister. At one point, she's having the conversation with the evil sketchbag dude, and even she gets bad vibes. He's like, "Oh, you're from like the Schneider family. Like, oh,
Yeah.
you guys understand it. Like, oh, you must be just keeping an eye on these guys."
Yeah.
And she's like, "No, I'm not keeping an eye." She's like, I just, we're
I'm
like
just trying to
them."
get my sister fixed. Like,
Yeah, and then he kind of mentions something there, being like, "Oh, we're like the people, we're the superior people who are supposed to just help out these like lesser people." And she immediately there gets like bad vibes, being like, "Oh, okay, yeah, scumbag."
yeah. Like, what does this guy have that makes him think he's superior that he has in common with her?
I don't know. I feel like I think it's just because he's a composer. I think that they're better, but then she's from like a family, an important family, or it could literally just be like a Harry Potter situation where there's like good families.
Yeah.
Because her one sister's a music art now. Her other sister is
researching them.
like researches or fix them or something. She does something for the Symphonica.
Yeah.
And she's clearly from like an important family.
True.
So I don't know. It was a lot of setup. It was just a lot of showing us that like Takt and Destiny have grown.
Yeah.
As conductor and her compose. Now I'm reversing it as conductor and music art from like what Lenny has showed them.
Yeah, like Lenny definitely contributed to this, and there's obviously more to Lenny than what they showed us.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just say this right now before I forget. When they make this into a game, I 100% guarantee you're getting a second character in this scene.
Yeah, I guess. Well, it's gonna be a gacha game. It's got to be.
Yeah, they have to introduce more characters somehow.
Yeah. I thought for sure that's where this, because we even see like she's kind of a tough music art all at the episode, and then at the end after Takt shows like how good he is, and then he makes a reference to like the music that she's based off of, kind of thing, or like the composer who wrote the music she's based off of.
He's just like, Waller, that's pretty good. And
and then she like goes mad blushy. I'm like, oh, he's getting another one. He's collecting music cards.
I feel like next episode they're just gonna be like gone. She's just gonna show up. It's like, hey, I didn't have anywhere to go. You mind if I travel with you guys?
Yeah, we didn't. I thought that was gonna happen at the end too, because we see her walk up to like the bad guy and he's like, fuck off, we don't need you anymore, like we're done. Yeah. After he did something sussy too, because they were supposed to bring the packages that were on there to somewhere. And he's
they were
like,
supposed to go to Boston. He's like, no, we're taking them somewhere else.
Yeah, he's like, we're taking them somewhere else. She's like, no, but they're supposed to. He's just like, fuck off. We don't need you. Like, get out.
Yeah.
I thought for sure she was gonna like just show up in the car at the end. Like when the sister's talking to them and they're sleeping, and she like looks over in the front seat, and then the other girl's like, hey.
That might still happen.
She's in the trunk. I don't know. I'll be excited. As I said when we talked about it previously, I wasn't a huge fan. I think that they're going in a better direction than I thought they were going to.
Yeah, it is doing a lot better than I thought it was. When I heard gacha game anime, I was really worried.
Yeah, like I know we talked about the first 3 episodes, and I didn't mind the backstory, but like the fighting hadn't really sold me because like we didn't understand what was going on. But I think like the casino episode with Lenny and them and the crew, and then this episode has kind of put it together as a better package. Still could be lacking some substance, but we just have to wait to see, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean the fact that they've done as much as they did with the source material, I think is pretty good. So
yeah, considering it's just once again to be a gacha game. So
yeah.
We'll just have to keep watching and just see where it goes. But if you guys are fans, let us know down below and let us know anything we missed in this episode, or if there's anything important we're leaving out. If you're about to be a huge gacha fan for the Takt OP, who's the best girl at this point now?
Yeah.
And don't say the frickin' Hell, I believe was her name.
Yeah, it was Hell.
Yeah, they're not bad guys.
I mean that's a very specific taste. Like I can't judge too much, but
yeah, I don't know. When she's like, yeah, I want to wear your eyeballs, I'm like, okay, that's normally where I take off.
Yeah.
I don't know. Teach their own. But yeah, we'll be talking about Takt OP in the future. So just keep an eye out for that. So next up, we got some fast ones. Got some fast boys here. My senpai is annoying.
Yep.
Talked about it last week. We gave some general feelings. Was this the cold episode?
This was the cold episode.
Okay, I can describe the plot to you really fast. Oh my god, now I can't remember her name. It's going to bother me. Oh well. Main girl gets a cold, okay? Big guy. I know his name. His name is Takeda, I believe.
Yeah.
Takeda Senpai. He finds out she has a cold. He brings her food. Perfect timing. She's just about to walk out. Colds in anime, deadly. I get a cold. Yeah, listen, I'm kind of a bitch when I get a cold, but like I'm still like walking around doing everything fine. In anime, when characters get colds, they're like dying.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, I've had one cold in my life that was that bad.
Yeah, like it looks like an anime. Every time they get a cold, they get like a mad fever with it too. Yeah. Typically, I get like 3 colds a year. You just kind of live through them. Your nose is stuffy.
Yeah.
But in this, it's not even like a cold. It's like she gets like a mad fever for one day, then she's like fine the next day. Or maybe 2 days later, he did say take the next day off.
Yeah, I mean, anime biology, man. What can you say?
But yeah, so she gets up to decide to go to the store because she's hungry. She looks like she's going to absolutely die and pass out when Takeda shows up right at her door, brings her food, makes her food. He gets to see her room, that kind of stuff. He says, hey, take the next day off too. Then the next scene, she's at work. She's kind of embarrassed with the whole thing. Because he was in like her bedroom, saw her like stuffies, all that kind of shit. And then boom, Takeda gets a cold.
Yep.
So she's like, I'm gonna do the same thing. She goes, gets him food, makes him food. There's not lots to discuss about as far as the plot goes, but it's more just like learning more about the characters.
It was like, even she's like, oh, you caught it because you came to me. It's like, no, I went and stood under a waterfall as part of my training.
Yeah, he's like, as part of my like winter judo training. When she's in his room, she's like a judo trophy. She's got like the stuffed animals, and there's just like little parts too. Like like the 2 parts of the episode mirror each other. At one point, he's like, oh, where do you keep like your bowls? And she's like, oh, it's on like that shelf right there. He's like, oh, here's the bowl. And in his place, she's like, oh, where do you keep your stirring chopsticks? He's like, I don't fucking know. He's like, I don't remember. And she's like, I'll find them myself. It's fine. Don't get up.
I do like how neither of them ever thought like, I'm hungry and I'm sick. Maybe I should order in.
Yeah, no. It doesn't exist. No.
I guess like the extra $5 for deliveries is too much.
Maybe. I don't. They're both like, I'll just put a house coat on and like walk to my nearest like conveni kind of situation.
Yeah.
Listen, if that was in North America, I'd rather die because you try to go to a convenience store here to get a meal. Nope. You're getting like food poisoning.
I mean, I think it's a difference in concept as well. like in Japanese convenience stores, the food's actually like halfway decent.
Yeah, they actually have like meals and stuff, and there's also like one on every single street. So
Yeah, it's not like you go to one here and it's like, oh wow, this sandwich has probably been here for 3 months.
yeah, here I'd be like, oh, I'm dying, I'm sick. Skip the dishes. Okay, yeah, let's get some some of this and
Yeah, something that like just order from somewhere that has a nice soup and you're done.
yeah. But yeah, it's just like there's not tons of substance to the episode, It's just about like a little bit of character growth. We still see these characters obviously care for each other, but not in like a way yet that is like a romance.
Yeah, we do see the one girl just getting a little more serious.
Which one? Like the side character girl?
Yeah.
Yeah, because she mentioned something. She's like, oh.
Yeah, like she hears that she went to his place and she's like, oh, I guess I have to try a little harder too. And
just while like directly looking at the guy.
I feel like that guy like, gets the idea. He's just like doesn't know how to act on it.
Yeah, he just seems like your classic like anime protagonist who's dumb. The women
I don't
want
even
him,
think
but
it's
he
that.
doesn't
I
know
think
how
he
to
has an
want them.
idea. I think he's just like, I'm awkward, don't know how to react to this.
Yeah, honestly, their relationship is like just as important as the main one. You know,
Yeah.
also really matters. Also, her friend is really cool. The main girl's friend in this, the one point where she sees her, she seems like a cool character. You know,
She is.
so I'm excited to see more of that. But yeah, it was just really relaxing episode. Just a little bit of growth from each of them. Classic cold. I'm excited for eventually the beach episode. It's gonna happen. There's gonna be a day where they take off work or there's something, and they're going to a beach. Okay.
Yeah. Like the work getaway or something like that.
I feel like I've been robbed of a beach episode for too long. We got no beach episode for quintessential quintuplets. There was no beach episode for Horimiya. I'm fucking sick of the lack of beach episodes.
I think they've just fallen out of favor because they were such a cliche.
There was no beach episode for Uzaki-chan.
There was.
It wasn't a beach episode. They went to like a cottage.
They went to Hokkaido.
Yeah, they didn't even go. Did we even see a scene where they went in the water?
Yes.
Not enough. We need whole beach episodes. We need fireworks. We need the barbecues. We need the whole thing.
So you just want the full cliche smorgasbord.
How have we not gotten a beach episode of the 86 yet? That's my question.
I want you to go back and watch the episodes and tell me where that would have fit in.
Either way, my senpai's annoying. Need your beach episode. You know, make it happen. And we'll be waiting for that. But yeah, it's just a fun little show. I'm sure that if you're watching this part, you've seen it. Not tons to talk about.
Yeah.
Just enjoyable. Nice little slice of life, rom-com. And as we always mention, it's in at least a work state, not like the high school anymore.
Yeah, it's dealing with adults. It's not the same 13-year-olds every time. So.
Exactly, yeah. So it's a little bit more entertaining in my sense. And we'll just keep watching. We'll keep talking about it probably. So just keep an eye out for that. Next up to go through fast, finally you've seen it, is Ranking of Kings.
Yes.
We talked about it last week, the first 2 episodes. You hadn't seen it yet, but now you've caught up.
I have caught up, yes.
So what do you think?
Honestly, it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It is very Ghibli in its art style. Mm-hmm. And also in the most recent episode, things went down that I was not expecting from this series.
Yeah, but what about episode number 2, right? When you're watching like his family get killed and stuff?
I mean, yeah, but again, it's one of those things. It's very... I'm going to equate it to a JRPG where someone's entire family gets murdered, but you don't actually see anything.
Mm-hmm.
And they're a species where even dead, they don't look gruesome.
Yeah, they're not like a bunch of dead bodies, but like just the art, like the guy walking around with like his mom on the spear and stuff like that. He has to see it, you know? Yeah. One Piece feelings is the way I described that last week. And I stand by it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I just mean like the main character though. How likable.
He is. He's very heartfelt. He's very straight to the point. He's always trying. It really hurt when you see the other brother get turned into king, and then
yeah, in this episode, right? Like the whole point of this episode is that his father dies, which is already sad because his dad was dope.
Yeah.
Like you don't get a lot of time with his dad, but his dad like loved his son no matter what. That doesn't care that he wasn't born super strong. He loved him anyways. His favorite son. Yeah. And then when his father dies, he names right in there. They're all expecting it to be Daida, and he says no. I want Boji to be the next king.
Yeah.
So Boji's pumped. Everyone there is like, okay, like. Well, I guess that's what happens. That kind of sucks, but like, you know, Daida would have been a better king, but that's what the king wanted. Yeah. There was also something really weird with like the demon at his dad's death.
Just a big cloud of smoke comes out, sits down, points at Boji, laughs, and then just poofs away.
I think that's just related to like the king selection process, if I had to guess. They literally like, and then when they talked about like their family, there was like a family like demon kings or some stuff. Like they're like super strong at one point.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, like everyone was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, so I think it's like a secret king selection process. Just to me, that demon came out of the body of the father, and it's pointing at Boji. It knows Boji's meant to be the next king.
Yeah, and maybe that's like tied to the ranking system.
Maybe.
Because the demon kings like rank everyone. They're like, okay, this guy actually earned it.
Yeah, they're like, this Boji kid, he's got something going on.
Yeah, dude can't even talk, and I'm scared of him. Like, yeah.
I think the standout of this episode by far was the mom.
Yeah, I was not expecting them to actually make her halfway likable.
I was thinking it in like episode number 2 because obviously I think in that one you see her healing him.
You do see her healing him, but at the same time, you just hear a woman.
Yeah.
And there's the fact that she's always been so like down on him the whole time.
Yeah, it's nice when you're only 3 episodes in, but you're already getting like character growth and character twists that you weren't expecting.
Yeah.
That a normal show could not do in 3 episodes. Because we get to see her, like obviously immediately what happens is, you know, Boji is picked to be the king. There's the big announcement to the city about who the next king is. And then the person comes up and says, Daida was picked to be the next king.
Yeah.
Boji's sitting there like, no, he's like pointing at himself. He's like, no, he's like making a lot of noise. You see like the guards being like, or like his, you know, all the people being like, oh, this is what happening kind of thing. And then we see like a meeting going back to the mom being like, hey, Boji is not fit to be the king. Let's make one of these other people.
I mean, do you think this is one of the things she's doing it like out of love?
I think so. I think that she genuinely does not think that he could be king with like his disabilities. It's not that she doesn't love him, but I just don't think she sees the strength in him that others do.
Yeah.
She just sees like a helpless kid still.
True.
Because, you know, even like her flashback showing that, you know, first meeting him, he didn't like her. She was just trying to do everything to you know, kind of make him almost feel about her like, you know, the mother. And then when he finds the snake and she goes over and, you know, he's like panicking and she like kicks the snake and and then, you know, after that he wants the snake healed, so she goes over and she heals the snake, and then from that point he starts like liking her.
Yeah.
It just, you know, once again, she didn't see from that like, oh, he's able to protect himself kind of thing. Like,
yeah, which how old is Boji?
He's older than Daida, so
okay, because I'm curious, because like the snake you see is obviously the one he went to talk to that works for the other dude.
Yes.
But it still owes Boji a debt because he's the one who saved him.
Yes. So the next question is, that other dude, do you think because he's also portrayed as being a pretty bad guy so far, is he also going to be good?
I don't know. I think it's going to come down to when we see the shadow next, like Kage.
Yeah.
Because he sent Kage away.
He sent Kage. He confirmed with Boji that it was actually his friend, not someone trying to assassinate them. And then he said that he left, you know, upsetting Boji, obviously, kind of putting Boji on his next path to decide he has to go out and do something for himself.
Yeah, he also mentioned the magic mirror. Like, what is it telling?
Yeah, he mentioned it in like a sense where he does not trust it, and he knows that it's a thing, but he's like, I don't like this kind of situation.
Which makes me wonder, like, why are they giving this kid a magic mirror?
I don't know. We don't know much about the magic mirror other than it's getting Daida to do things it shouldn't want him to do.
It is so obviously evil. Even when it talks to you, it just does like a black film over you.
The other really sad part is I have a feeling the mom's not making it.
Yeah, it's like that bad feeling she had. It's like, I don't think I'm going to see Boji or Daida again. It's
yeah, like, oh God, if you're not seeing either of them, you're so... Daida's literally going to get his mom killed.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's going to go, she seems to care about Boji. I must kill her.
Because he, in a sense, in this episode, Daida mentions that he wants to get rid of Boji. And I think right there the mother panicked a little bit, knowing how, I'm sure a lot of other kingdoms in this ranking of kings situation, you know, if there's a...
Deal with a...
Yeah,
if there's succession disputes.
If there's an illegitimate heir who has taken the crown from a legitimate heir, how do they normally handle that kind of situation?
Yeah.
The mom agreed. She realized that it was safest for Boji to let him go out and, you know, let him go out on his journey to leave. Just go to their grandparents' house kind of thing and then come back. But I have a feeling that after whatever happens to the mom in this kingdom,
he's not coming back.
He's not coming back. Another couple really good parts is that obviously the snake guy. There was 2 guys who were not down for Daida taking over. One was the spear dude.
Yeah. And the other one, who was the other one?
He was just the bigger guy. He was like a politician relating guy. Like he wasn't like a sick fight or anything like that. But yeah, like the snake guy goes to stop the spear dude, and like their fight was dope.
Yeah.
Like even the animation on it, like for the art style, was like really, really good. And just his like fucking spear attack, where he just fucking punctures him right in the chest.
Yeah, then you just see him fall. Like,
dude just falls with like blood's just coming out. I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Like maybe we'll never find out if he was a good guy.
I don't know, because at the end you see like the earth like almost consuming him.
Yeah, it's true.
So it makes me think he isn't actually dead, but he's going to be reported as dead.
Yeah, and like maybe the snake is helping him out with some sort of weird 2-headed snake powers.
Maybe.
I don't know, but that guy walks away because he's like, I'm not down for this. And then of course the greatest swordsman, the one that we know he's not like a bad dude, but I'm not liking him because he's never backing Boji up. He's sent with Boji on like his little journey.
Yeah, him along with the one guard who knows sign language.
The one guard who knows sign language and has shown to be a Boji supporter.
Yeah.
That's the type of people we want on the team.
Yeah. I'm sure at some point the swordsman is going to be like, okay, Boji actually does deserve some credits.
Yeah, I think he understands after seeing even the fight with Daida that he has different types of skills, but he doesn't like from that fight, like how that ended. He doesn't respect the skills that Boji has. That they're just different than what he thinks a king should have.
Yeah, because he got genuinely excited when he was fighting Daida. So.
Yeah. And then, he was like disappointed. And then he like basically made Boji stop fighting, saying that that's not how a king's supposed to fight.
Yeah.
Let him get his fucking ass kicked until like everything on him was like destroyed.
Yeah, even then it was the spear dude who intervened. He was just like, no, man.
Yeah, that spear dude just like launched a spear. So there's a lot of cool things. I'm excited to see actually like Boji go out. And of course, we do need to see what's going on with Kage.
Yeah, I think that we're going to get that next episode.
We saw him cut off his own something to do like.
Well, it was like punctured through him, so he cut himself to get it out.
Yeah,
so.
which once again, luckily, the only reason they get away with this and not making it look absolutely gruesome is because his shadow people that he is just they don't have like blood for the most part and stuff. Because
how do you know they're dead then? Like,
I guess you just do. I don't know. They must just be dead.
I guess.
But yeah, it's just been a really, really good show. It's probably one of my standouts so far from the season. Like, obviously, it's hard to compare it to continuing shows like Mushoku Tensei in the 86. But as far as like new shows on the list, it's probably the one I look forward to the most right now. It's just like the animation's fantastic. Like Boji just seems like such a good character.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I just feel like some of like even the twist, like episode 2 with like the dramatics behind like Kage's like life and family stuff like that. And then in episode 3 of like the backstory with like the mother character who's been a bitch this whole time, but you're seeing like her perspective. It's been really good. For 3 episodes, I feel like we've got a lot done.
Yeah, normally this would be spread out over like 6. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There's a
like,
lot of content here.
They're doing a lot, so really fast. I don't know. It's probably going to be like an 11 episode season or show, but I don't know. I'm excited for it. And I think that's probably it for Ranking of Kings. Keep an eye out. We'll probably be talking about it more as long as nice, fun things happen. And just let us know what you think about it down below. I know that I think a couple people maybe mentioned it in
yeah, we definitely had some people mentioning that it's been a standout. So
because I think right now it has anime of the year potential. So let me know what you guys think about it down below. And last up, we're just going to do a little bit of a discussion about komi-san since that was not out the last time we talked.
Yeah.
It
kind of was like the first episode. I think it dropped on Netflix. So no, they dropped the first 2 at the same time, didn't they?
I think they did because the first episode we checked and the first episode was not out yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've come with 2 episodes so far. Episode 3 comes out tomorrow. How you feeling about it so far?
I mean, I'm enjoying it. I am one of the people who was reading the manga for a long time, so seeing it animated is definitely nice, and they've done a really job like translating the animation and getting.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. I'm trying to remember. The only things I knew about it were that like, who was doing the animation, and like I think it was something to do with like the screenplay. It was like the same person who did like a silent voice,
right?
Which is the same as like To Your Eternity and stuff like that. Has done something on it,
right?
But it looks really good. The art style is like always fun. Like it goes from being like komi-san always reminds me of like Sailor Moon era. With her hair is a lot of it,
like the hair and just like the long slim build.
Yeah, like her like style, but then it also goes to like the like more like far more cartoonish komi-san, like the other 50% of the time, which is like the huge eyes.
Basically all the reactionary shots.
Yeah, exactly. It swaps art styles a lot. But the first episode I really liked. I liked the whole chalkboard scene.
Yeah, that really was done beautifully.
Yeah, where you get like the music going on and they're just kind of going through the whole conversation to just like the wide pan. It's like the whole chalkboard is filled with like words and stuff like that. Like I think that's like a really, really like one of the most cool like meetings of 2 characters.
Yeah.
For their like little relationship starting. And then like I like the concept too. It kind of reminds me of Yamada's first time. She wants to make 100 friends.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
And Yamada's first time she wanted to have sex with 100 guys.
Not the comparison I would have like. I heard you say that. I'm like, that can't be what I'm thinking.
That's what you're thinking of. That was my comparison. But it's really nice wanting to make 100 friends, and then obviously in episode number 2 we get to see the second friend being made.
Yeah.
But just at like the end of the chalkboard scene, her being like, I want like he's like, what's your dream? Like you can obviously see like at first they're kind of nervous about like writing back, and then by the end we're getting to like the what's your dream level.
Yeah.
It reminds me, it'd be like a guy you barely know or don't know at all. You go to like a party, you're drinking with them, and then by the end of the night, you're like, hey man, what are your life goals? Like, what do you think about life and death by like the end of the night,
Yeah.
What's your dream? She says like, I want to make 100 friends. He's like, well, I'm your first friend. What's up?
Yeah.
And we see her get a little teary-eyed, always nice.
Yeah, then she just bolts from the room and he's like, crap, did I screw up?
Yeah. And then episode 2 is just focused around, he's like, hey, I have a childhood friend. It's the only like friend he really has in this school.
Yeah, then the fact he's just like, well, they're technically everyone's childhood friend.
Yeah, it's like everyone's childhood friend. I'm like, what the fuck? And then, they introduce and, the childhood friend's like, oh, I don't like Komi. I knew her when I was a kid, and she just like was mean. She didn't say anything. You probably thought she was too good kind of thing.
Yeah, then you actually see it and it's just like, oh, Komi was trying to like say hi and she just couldn't.
Yeah, and then the best part is when like they're walking down the street and then those guys come up and they're like, oh, like, go out with me kind of thing. And The character's like, no, and I'm a dude. And he's like, I don't care. He's like, I gotta respect that guy. He's like, I don't care if you're a dude, basically.
I love the like, so what Uno reverse card.
Yeah, he's like, I've already talked myself into this. You can't stop me now, no matter what. And then you get like the Komi comes up being like, I'll kill you.
Yeah,
she's like, I key you. And he's like, oh, did you just say she'll kill me?
Then he has like the whole like inner monologue where he's picturing her saying like, last guy who did this, I killed him with his own house key. It's like,
yeah. The other thing too, like I feel like the coffee scene is gonna be like heavily memed.
oh god, yeah.
Like that was just a fun where she's like, as a test, like, I'll go ahead and get me this like ridiculous coffee order, and then Komi-san of course can't talk, and the guy's just like, I've been a barista for 15 years. He's like, I can see exactly what she wants. That it's like obviously the wrong item, and he hands it over. She's just like, okay.
Like maybe that was the perfect drink for Komi. We don't know.
Maybe she didn't try it. She just gave it over. I think some of the big standouts. Art looks really good. Characters seem really fun. The other interesting part was at the end of episode 1, which I wasn't expecting, where they're like, by the way, this isn't a regular school. Like this school has like fucking
everyone is super eccentric.
Yeah, everyone's got like a weird thing. And then because at the one point in the episode, I was like, what the fuck is a ninja doing behind them? When like she like drops the eraser and then there's just like the ninja behind. I'm like, what the shit is this dude all about?
Yeah. I think that's like anime standard at this point, where there's always like some guy who's like, if I can't find love, I'm gonna make sure no one else does.
Yeah, but even just in general, like with the whole class's reaction to any time like the main character has anything to do with Komi-san, like where he walks up at the one point and he's like, hey, can we talk about like Komi-san kind of thing? And she's like, yeah, of course. Like, what do you? And she's like, don't talk about our queen. Like, don't like.
Yeah, just a straight up like death threat.
A full like whisper line in his ears, being like, "Don't even like talk about it. Don't look at her." And then even at the end, he's like, "Oh, never mind." She's like, "Okay, thanks. Like, never talk to me again." And she like turns around. I'm like, "What the fuck?"
She gives zero fucks.
She's literally happy, being like, "Never speak to me again." I'm like, "Oh my god."
There's a lot of really good characters in this series, but like just the fact that that was her opening line, I forgot about that. Like,
yeah, a little crazy. Yeah, seems like a very interesting show. Probably more comedy, but like the first episode had a lot of heart. The second one was far more comedic.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those series that has to kind of balance the line, right? Because you can't go hard one way or the other with this type of story. So
yeah, for a second there, I thought the one character was being an absolute dickbag, where he's like, "Get me a coffee, or else I won't be your friend anymore." I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
I'm like, this character's harsh.
Yeah, he's just like, well, she has to talk to people eventually. Like, she has to talk to do this.
Yeah, the only characters we've really met so far is the main character, and his his eccentric thing is just that he thinks he can read people really well, like read the room.
I think his eccentric thing is that he's just completely average,
and that's his one thing.
Well, I mean, you need someone like measure everyone else against, right?
Maybe he has something crazy in the end, though.
I mean, maybe there's also the fact that like when he's talking about what he did in middle school, he wanted to confess to a girl, so he wrote love across the field.
Yeah, I got that. The childhood friend's help. Yeah.
The
childhood friend, obviously, the only really eccentric thing, other than they have like every single person in the world is their childhood friend, is that they also maybe swap genders. That I don't know.
I think they're just gender fluid.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, but in like the whole middle school situation, he's like, oh, you were always a boy in middle school. Like, why are you wearing a skirt and stuff now? And they're like, I don't know.
Maybe you just like the uniform better.
Maybe, but I think the like having a million childhood friends is their kind of thing. And then obviously the only other character we've really talked to or seen, we saw a ninja, and then we talked to that girl who was an absolute psychopath. So all we know is every single person at this school is absolutely obsessed with Komi-san. So that's really the only thing we got. So I'm assuming next episode we're probably going to meet another character, or maybe we just get some more growth with Komi-san, the main character.
Probably. We're probably going to get introduced to another character just to kind of like bump up the roster a little bit.
But yeah. Plus, maybe we need a couple more characters before we can have a beach episode. So,
yes, all about the beach episode.
Our Komi-san beach episode. Cannot wait. Yeah, it's been an entertaining show. Episode 3 comes out tomorrow, so we'll be able to watch that. Depending on when we can record next week, we might be able to talk about that episode as well.
Yeah, if we're a little late, we might get 2 episodes out of it.
Yeah, it's like no matter what, we'll be talking about episode 3 next week. But if we're a little late, we might even get to talk about episode 4. So just let us know what you think about Komi-san down below. I know it was a very popular anime. To get like, it was really hyped anime. Like, people are really looking forward to it. So I'm just curious how many people here in the comments will mention it. That way we can know if people really want us to talk about Komi-san, we could try to plan our week, one day later, so we can talk about the newest episode when it comes out.
Yeah, I think the big issue with that is that it's one of the series you can't talk a lot about.
No, it's very fast. It's just like, hey, this character was introduced. They're quite funny.
Yeah, and even then, like, I think like the anime interest was really more, it was getting memed on for not getting an anime when things like Uzaki did.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, that's fair. I think Komi-san's already way better than Uzaki, right? Like the character.
Yeah, I mean, it was a weird thing to compare it to because it's not like the teased air.
No, one's complete. They're like complete opposites. One's like whole design is that they're annoying, and one is completely not annoying.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, depending on how you look at it, like someone you can't actually talk to might be annoying.
Yeah, I mean, this seems like a good point for the main character just to get her phone number, because then you could just text them.
Yeah, but I mean, can you imagine like him walking up to her? It's like, hey, can I get your number just casually? That doesn't happen in anime.
No, it really should though.
I mean, yeah, it'd be easy. That's always like a huge moment where they're like, hey, can I get your line account?
Yeah, it is
Or
always.
sorry, Lime.
That was that was in Senpai is Annoying.
Yeah.
That's another big cell phone plot point. But yeah,
Guy just sitting there's like, I've been trying since last night. I haven't sent a single message.
yeah, Komi-san was good. It was an enjoyable little slice of life show, like another good one.
Yeah.
It's been a good season for slice of life with some of those ones coming out. It is high school, but I mean, it's also like, I don't know. It's got a special hook, you know?
Yeah, it's unique. It's not the same story for the 30th time where every girl's in love with the most average dude in the world because of he was nice to somebody at some point.
At one point, he was nice, or like, you know, stopped a squirrel from attacking them or something, so they love him.
No, he gave a squirrel peanut.
Yeah, in this one, technically, everyone in his class actually hates him.
Yeah.
So, except for Komi and maybe his childhood friend.
Yeah, like the childhood friend even is like, okay, yeah, like, he treats everyone the same.
Yeah.
She, they, it.
Them? I don't know. Listen, it's anime. I don't think Japanese is that woke yet to give us pronouns on character introductions.
Well, I mean, it's always like the suffix, right? So the san, the chan, the...
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how that works with modern times.
Yeah, like it seems really fluid because you get a lot of like female characters being referred to as kun and...
Yeah, that's just kind of like the classics, you know? Like that was the big thing in like Free even back in the day, was that all of them had female names, and that was like their like thing that brought them together.
True.
Interesting. But that's pretty much all the anime we've talked about. As I said, the only ones really left out were like Platinum End, because I'm not caught up. The Reincarnated, the Finest Assassin, because Jimmy's not caught up.
Yeah.
And then the Banished from the Heroes Party, which is an anime I've been enjoying a lot. It's just that the episode came out this morning while I was working out, and I didn't realize it came out. So that one we weren't able to talk about. But next week we should just be able to talk about both. It's funny because last week's episode 2 was like really light, right? It was just like a bath episode. They just went to a bathhouse, and that was mainly it. And that's why when you're like, well, there was some big plot developments, I was like, they went to a bath. Like they drank some milk. Like sure, they helped out a business, but I don't know if that was big plot developments.
Yeah, no, this like when it's like the whole like Rudy thing and...
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I'll have to watch that one, and we'll be able to talk about it next week. I'm trying to think about anything else. I think that's pretty much all the anime I watched this week. I can't think of anything that I've even watched that we're not talking about.
Yeah, it's all the major series. Like there's a couple I've been trying to catch up on, like things like Sakugan, but it's not a priority, so...
I know a lot of people mentioned like the Meiruku-chan a bunch, and even this week I saw it was like #1 on like a anime list kind of thing, so I'm still tempted to watch it. I'll try. I have a couple days off, so I'd like to at least give it a chance. There was the Arena, like the vampire astronaut one.
Yeah, I still haven't watched past the first episode. It wasn't bad. It just didn't hook me. So
yeah, it's an interesting concept, but it's just, once again, it's just not something I'm into right now. I don't know. It's like the same reason I'm having trouble watching Platinum End is because it's like, you know, teenage me would have loved it. You know, in my edgy anime phase, when I was watching Claymore and, you know, watching Nina Tucker get turned into a dog, like, you know, and I was loving it.
And like all this really has is the edge. It doesn't have like the mind games you'd expect from this pedigree.
Yeah, I've already seen Eden of the East. I've already seen Future Diary. So I'm like, this is just another one of those, but like 10 years later.
Yeah, and even then, like the games they're going for is very like bullshit. Like, hey, I'm overpowered because screw you, I'm the bad guy.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm going to try to catch up on it still. I'm very curious as what you guys think in general. Platinum End. If you care if I catch up, or if you'd rather just us keep talking about the anime we're currently talking about. Yeah. So just let us know down below. I think that's pretty much everything. I don't think we have any more anime to talk about.
I think that was everything, yeah.
So we're pretty much done here, guys. If you've watched this far, of course, or if you've even just flicked to the outro, be sure to subscribe, like, comment, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we appreciate everything you guys do for us.
Check out the comment of the week and leave a comment down below. Obviously, every single subscription, comment, like, all that kind of stuff just, you know, boosts the algorithm to try and get some more people in to find us. Being found on stuff like YouTube is probably some of the hardest stuff out there.
Yeah, that algorithm, man. Jeez.
It's all about the algorithm, and as you know, we've talked about this a million times before. We try to post all the episodes on stuff like Reddit. Half the time they get like removed after like a day. Sometimes we get banned from the actual subreddits for like self-promotion stuff.
Yeah.
I can't blame them all if it's the rules on the Reddit. I try sometimes to figure out ways to go around the rules to at least make it fair. You know, I only specifically upload like the time codes for each of the ones on there. But if you have anywhere you want to share it, or you have anyone you want to show it to, of course, feel free to do so. We appreciate anything. Because we're just still driving toward that 1,000 subs, that we can get our sweet community tab, and we could do votes and, you know, updates with channels and stuff like that in there. And then maybe one day when we get past 1,000, we'll try to make some sort of bonus content too.
Yeah, start branching out once we actually get that partnership.
Yeah, so. Like, you know, season reviews or something like that, like some sort of other idea other than just the weekly podcast. Yeah. But that's for later. So once again, Thanks, guys, for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Comments are most important. We'll try to respond to everyone we can. And other than that, guys, have a good week. I guess we'll be seeing you next week, finally, for episode number 50.
Yeah.
Big 50. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Peace.
Peace.